Has some real memories of me long before you guys were even born or thought about being born. This building was named after a guy named Dr. Kegel. You see his name on Liberal Art Building. I want you to know they named buildings after a lot of people, but this guy was just really, really good. Just a master teacher. I've had over 85 teachers in my life as I went through college and 10 years of college and everything. A lot of them were chloroform on the hoof, some are okay, but I had about 5 that were really teachers just in line, and Kegel was one of them. I had him in freshman English, or in English and sophomore English in this building over there, and he was so good. Class was so darn good that that's all I lived for after that was to take one more class from him. I couldn't wait to have, so I went 3 more years to college. I had senior year, I was ready to graduate in '63, and I had one elective. I said, man, I got to do it. So he had a teaching class called Victorian Literature, 404. Had about 20 prerequisites before you get in a stupid class. And I've politicked my way into that class. And man, that was the hardest class I ever took. I got a D- out of the class. He gave me that just because he liked me. So this school that you're in was named after a lot of good people. I was raised on a ranch out in Idaho. I'm going to talk on a subject that's probably you're going to find super interesting, but I was raised on a ranch called Dietrich, Idaho. Our nearest neighbor was 75 miles. It was Aberdeen through the desert. We had outdoor toilets. We lived like that. Left, and I had a mentality on the farm of cleaning up. I don't know if the corrals were clean, if everything was clean, everything was good. It was good, and I thought of that when I left here to go to college at Idaho State in 1953. Went up here in this building. There was a little place where you got a job, and I said, "Is there any college jobs here?" And the guy said, "No, we don't have any regular thing, but there's one down here bottling pop." So I went down to bottle pop after being on the farm. Got my first, 75 cents an hour, got my first check, and I looked at my check. And there was $50 was missing out of my check, and I go, "What's this FICA crap? You can't take that out of my check." And they go, "Oh, that's the law, Mr. Aslett, we have to do it." "Not out of mine, you don't." So I said, I quit my job after a few days. So I'm going to do stuff, clean yards and rake yards. So I started a cleaning business. Went through school, called College Cleanup and Repair Team, 1953. I cleaned after hours, after my classes. And I was the top cleaner, and everybody knew me. I had trucks and everything, and people knew me at Idaho State. Left for a couple of years to serve mission, came back. 1957, I got back here a month, I got married. So I'm going to tell you about my college career. It's going to make you think. We had 6 children in 7 years, no twins. We ran a big business, it was in 3 states, bought a home while we were students, had church jobs while we were students, and I played ball for ISU. My fastball is down to about 90, but you don't believe that, you're a good man, I can tell you're an athlete. It might be about 89 or something like that to do it. But I found out something, my trip to ISU was my career. I'm a professional cleaner. I've been cleaning for 60 years, I'm 80 years old. We got thousands of employees. And by the way, just for your information, everybody walked in here, I evaluated, asked, looked, who was early, who was late, asked for things, talked to people, because I'm always looking for people to work. If you got it, I speak at a lot of graduations, I do a lot of speaking, a lot of news stuff. I tell something as I speak to graduation. In my whole life of hiring 100,000 of people, I have never asked anybody their degree or anybody what grades they got, because I don't care. I just want to know that people can produce, and I don't care who they are, what they look like, where they're from, what it doesn't matter to me a bit. It's ability is everything in the world. And guys like me, that's what we look for. You can be beautiful, you can have a good name, you can have a degree. A lot of guys get their master's. I got my master's, so Dad and Mom paid for it. What did you learn getting a master's? I got my doctorate. Well, can you clean the toilet if you're gonna work for me? Can you do it really well? By the way, you can always tell a professional cleaner. I got you guys. Yeah, I can't tell. It's shoe soles where I was rotting from floor stripper, clean floors. Our pants, or I was listening to the right from all the keys we carry. Our wallets. I like you. You got a sense of humor. See, I'm a value. These other guys don't.
All right.
Okay. The guy's wallet doesn't look like it. Don't hire him. I'm a painter. And last of all, when we clean your toilets, after we finish, we put our tie. We check the toilets. We look in the toilets, and our tie goes in, and we always have a pee stain on our tie. So you can always pick us out. But I'm going to speak today on a real interesting subject. So the most challenging thing in the world in your career is selling clean. Clean is a hard sell. Oh, you know what I'm talking about? Your little snot behavior, you're going to clean your room. the professors, you guys better study and learn what you're doing. You're going to grow up and be a janitor. And, you know, it's just so interesting. That's what I've been for the last 60 years as a janitor. You know, I've traveled the world, I've written books and all sorts of things. So I'm going to give you some insight on that. I'm hoping you have a little sense of humor to see this, because everything is a sense of humor. You got to sell clean, you got to sell it funny. And I sold clean all over the world. I'm going to tell you how I did it, and it's just an interesting thing. I write a lot, so I'm really into the news and what you're doing. This is what I do for a living, exactly what you're doing. I've had a lot of best-selling books. I'm in Idaho, the biggest single author in the history of Idaho. Sold millions of books. I can't spell anything, and I don't know computers. That's my cell phone. I don't know how to put the numbers in, so I pasted them on the outside. And I own a computer company. All 40 of my books that I wrote, the best books I wrote, I did it on a manual typewriter, not even electric. So I'm a little weirdo. So you're going to see that. So I'm going to tell you about selling cleaning. Well, I went to school here. I had my own business. When you're a student, you got your own business and trucks. You're a pretty neat student. The teachers treat you good. All students, people think you're on TV. They think you're really a neat guy and everything. But so I wasn't prepared. So when I was going to school here, I was pretty well known. And I thought, man, I'm going. But I graduated, and boy, I found out there's a different world when you clean up to get a living through school. You're kind of neat to be the janitor. But when you're doing it full time, no matter how pretty you are, it just doesn't count. You're a urinal colonel. You're the latrine queen. Hey, you know, I mean, what are you? So I can remember just how I've been treated. What do you do? Well, I clean people back up. And my daughter, I served in the legislature briefly, and I served in a lot of things. So I graduated. One time I was down at First Security Bank down here, and I was buffing the floor one morning and cleaning. The lady came out with a little baby, a little kid. The kid was being an ornery little bugger. Finally, she grabbed him by the arm and went, shake, 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 shake. The little kid's head went, blah, 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 blah. She just, behave, you little snot, or you're going to end up like him. And she pointed over to me, and I'm over here buffing the floor. So everywhere I went, I started finding out you had a brand when you were a professional cleaner. Well, you can't get a job, you can be a janitor at the church, you know, and everything else. So I started finding out that being a professional cleaner was not going to be easy. So I tried a lot of things. I finally learned to not ever go on defense. Never go on defense. When people pick on you, run it right back at them. When people go to shake hands with me, you know what I do? Just clean the toilet with that hand. Oh, and they'll pull their hand back out of the way. So I do that with people all the time. And I did 5,000 TV segments and everything. I did Regis and Kathy for years back in New York. I was doing one morning with Regis filming on TV. Hi, Don, good to have you on the show. Yeah. Reached out for my hand and said, hey, Regis, just clean the toilet with that hand. Grabbed my hand. That's okay, Don. I just picked my nose. He grabbed my hand, shook my hand to do that. So you started finding out a lot of ways you do it. How do you enthuse people about being a cleaner? You're going to go to work for us. This is going to be a good job. We're going to pay you good, get good hours. You're working at night, you're everything else. You know, they're going to call you Flesh Gordon, and they're going to call you the urinal colonel. They're going to call you Turd Herder or Salt in the Sludge, or they're going to put a name on you and everything else. But you learn to reverse that. You learn to reverse that. You guys in here, you wonder how I made millions of dollars. You know how I made millions of dollars? Very easy. Invented things. Electric toothbrushes, right? Electric screwdrivers, right? Who would ever thought about electric bowl cleaner? I mean, what a brilliant idea. Electric bowl cleaner. Plug that thing in, stick that in the toilet. Just clean the toilet. You guys are just dumb. Did you believe me?
No.
I thought you didn't. The rest of them took it in. It electrocutes you. You know, you started finding things like you started doing things. Clean hospitals. We think doctors, we're in awe of doctors, right? Right? Oh, he's a doctor. Oh, we all move back out of the way. Doctor. They're just like any of you, no different. Just different training. Judy, you could have been a doctor, it's easy what she's teaching, everything. So, but I clean hospitals, and the doctors all walk by with their stethoscope, and people move out of the way. Oh, it's Dr. Snortberger, you know, whatever he is. So you know what I did? I made an electric bowl brush. Of course, it doesn't work, in case you wonder. I didn't get into the blondes here, but no, so when I cleaned the hospital, I made one of these. I put her on. I walked to the hospital with my electric bowl. And you know something? Most men are just dumb enough to believe that indoctrination. If I give this to most men, you know what they would do? They'd plug the stupid thing in. You girls are going to find out. It isn't working. I'm sure it doesn't work. Everything. So you start learning all the ways you can do things. I've tried everything to do to make cleaning funny, and I succeeded at it. You know, you guys know when you do TV and you'll be news writing for TV, you've got to have an angle, no matter how smart you are. Everybody thinks writing is just a bunch of pretty words and You got to have depth, or you're just not going to make it. I mean, anybody can put words together, and computers can edit those things. That's just not going to cut it. You got to have depth, and you got to have imagination, and you got to have creativity. You can't just go through, we're getting a life where you're so taken care of and everything else. It just doesn't work. You got to come up with an angle. If you had a job, there's 1,000. I have 4 beautiful daughters, and I took them down to one of the universities. I had nobody as pretty as my daughters, man. They're good. Man, I got to the university, there was 5,000 beautiful girls like you. Played the organ, could sing, could dance. Talented people. So where are you, 1 or 2? If you stand out or get ahead in jobs or anything else, you're going to have to have something that everybody else doesn't do. And nobody had put cleaning on a map to do it. I'm a writer. And I was starting to do a lot of seminars. One time I did one time up in, and I started to find that people didn't know how to clean, so I went up in, I got a call to go up in Firth, Idaho, and they had about 600 women over there, and so I said, I made a little book called, in fact it was almost like the one you had, Haley, in your stuff, just a 2-page thing called Adventures of Betty Betterhouse, How the Professionals Clean. And that was in 1979, and I went up there and I laid it on the edge of the stage and I give this little lecture. If anybody wants to know what, how to clean better, just come up and lay $1 down there and you just take one of those little books. And I didn't think much about that, boy. As soon as they cleaned that meeting, 600 women got up in a frenzy. People don't know how to clean, I found out. And pretty soon there's a big pile of $100 baby poof checks and $1 bills, and I thought, this is pretty neat. This is kidneys, man. I'm going to go into this. So I decided to write a book. I sat down and wrote a book called Is There Life After Housework? I was 45 years old, wrote my first book about housework. An interesting thing happened. It doesn't matter. I didn't know how to write. I can't spell any word. I don't know a dangling participle from representative noun or whatever it is, but I do know how to clean, and I do know how to make my profession or my career, whatever it is. You got to make your career come alive. If you're going to have 1,000 news or 1,000 people competing against you, and they're going to be doggone good. You're not going to just because you're beautiful or because you have a degree. You're not going to just walk in and we can't wait to get you. You're going to have to. There's competitors. There was 20,000 books published that year. So I did stuff so. Self-published and sold and printed 20,000 books. How many books does a self-publisher sell? Or do you know what a self-publisher is? If you do your own book, right? I'm going to pick on you, right, friend. How many books does a self-publisher? You guys should know that as news writers. Probably sell 600, 700, 800. Everybody writes a book. It's hard to sell a book. You can't hardly give them away now. It's really tough to do. There's 20,000 publishers doing that. So I did a self-published book and I printed 20,000. I was an idealist. By some miraculous reason, I had good subjects on cleaning, and everybody didn't want to clean up their families, and they all sold. So a big company called Writer's Digest. You ever heard of Writer's Digest? Raise your hand. Who's heard of Writer's? How come? You look like a smart person. How come? Right?
How come I've heard of Writer's Digest? Just like seeing it around.
I mean, yeah, Writers, not Reader's Digest, but Writer's Digest does all the cleaning books. They're a writer company. They put out the big writing book that all of you should own, the big thick writing book. They saw my book, somebody saw it, an editor saw it and called me up and said, we want to do your book, and they offered me a royalty. So this book came out. Went on the New York Times bestseller list, my first one, believe that or not, which I was ahead of Joy of Sex and 30 Days to a Beautiful Bottom. Those were two bestsellers at the time. So I had a chapter here called What to Expect Out of Husbands and Children. I get $1 every time one of these sell. So this sold over 1 million copies right off. Isn't that interesting? A stupid janitor from Pocatello, Idaho. Who's got a dirty house in here? You're gonna get far in life, kid. You were here first.
Oh,
You
nice.
got that. It's a book.
Sweet.
So you write something good. You're really famous and everything. You don't last very long. Books don't sell much more. So people started asking me questions. Mr. Aslett, what about my no wax floor? It's like a no wash dish, lady. Oh, Mr. Aslett, my dog peed on the carpet. What'll I do? Kill it. You know. So I did a book the next year called Do I Dust or Vacuum First? A stupid book on 100 questions of cleaning. It went on a New York Times bestseller list. It sold 500,000 books. I get $1 when a book sells. I'll put it. Then they told me junk, and I did one called Clutter's Last Stand, and I've done 40 cents in to do all the stuff like that. And by the way, this is a kind of a sporty copy, but we've got each one of you one of these up here. When you leave, you can have one. They're autographed. It's a book called Done. There used to be a book called How to Have a 48-Hour Day to do it. You start getting adventure in your work and everything else, but I started finding out if you don't separate yourself, your writing has to separate your speaking, You have to separate you're just you're just a talking head behind the pulpit. Hi, I'd like to give a talk today about you're just nothing. You just don't, in this day of computers, boy, we've raised the bar of speakers, as you know, Judy, so far. And writers are getting so good with computers and everything, but you still gotta, no matter how good this machine is, you still gotta have it. You gotta have the depth. I had an interesting conversation with Haley. She came in. I was asking her what she could do, and she peeled some stuff out. But I asked her for one thing. I said, Haley, give me a brag sheet. She looked at me kind of blank, didn't you? Application does 0 for you in this world. 0. I can't ask if you're a man or woman. I can't ask anything by the law of an application. I get thousands of them. You're nobody at application. You just might be lucky if they pick it out or something, or somebody's heard about you. They liked your hat or whatever it is. You just can't do it. Resumes. I just laugh at resumes. Just laugh at them. People look like the Holy Ghost. They look so good, and I read a resume. Boom, well, look at this guy, my system manager, and see all this stuff down. So you could have been fired from these. You could have been a deadbeat. You could have been somebody's kid. Nepotism and fired. It doesn't tell me anything. Your big strength in your life is going to be reference letters. If you want to get a job and you work for me for a year, or here in Pocatello, I'm known pretty national. I wrote down that Haley is, what's your last name? Dugan. So Haley, and that Morris kid is just sharp, and the kid doesn't look that bright, but he is really good. You're not offended easy, are you? But if you had that letter reference is better than everything. But I'll tell you what really does. I want a brag sheet from you, like in this class that I'm hired. You give me a brag sheet. What can you do? You've been a Boy Scout. Do you take care of an aged mother? Or you're a nanny? Can you ride horses? Can you brake horses? Can you overhaul a carburetor? When I look at you, if you give me a brag sheet, tell me all the things you can do. I don't care what kind of degree you have. You could have been a deadbeat, and she could have been the greatest teacher here, and you'd get in this class and get your degree, so it doesn't tell me anything. But you start making a brag sheet, all the things you can do. Man, I took care of my aged mother. I fenced all summer. I had a guy once that couldn't get a job anywhere. He was a real sharp guy. He had a resume that looked like unbelievable, and the stupid guy was so good. But he couldn't get a job because he had all this stuff he'd worked and everything. It didn't mean anything. One day I said, Bates, give me a brag sheet. What's a brag sheet? Just tell me what you can do. The stupid guy comes back and he went 18 for 18. What's slow pitch? You know what slow pitch is? Softball.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys the depth in here. Tell them what slow pitch is.
It's just like a underhand.
When you walk over.
Now there, see, you just took over this class right there. Yeah. You see what I'm telling? Slow pitch. Generally the other girls, they pitch the thing and that thing goes 90 miles an hour in there. They'll kill you with it. But when people can't play it good and they're big and they got big bellies and the guys want to play ball and have fun, they have a slow pitch and they pitch the ball. But fast pitch, I played ball for Idaho State 3 years. I was a baseball player for Idaho State. But fast pitches, boy, they took that ball and that thing comes so fast. If you even foul that ball off, you're good. Guy went 18 for 18 at a slow pitch tournament. What does that tell you? Are you a ball player?
Yeah.
What does that tell you? I mean, I couldn't even foul that stupid thing off, and I'm a good hitter. I pitched for Idaho State, but you see, so I had his interest, and then he broke horses, and he said, I fenced all summer up on the mountains with him and lived in a tent. I took care of I was a nanny, took care of my aged mother. Man, that's what the guy can do. He can do all this. That's what makes a good writer. You've got to have depth. If you don't have depth, you're just nothing. I mean, all you are is going to assemble a bunch of pretty words, and a computer is going to do that someday. You're going to think it, it's going to write, and you got to have that. So some of the things I did, you got to invent things. Once when I did, I mean, you think these are stupid, but these things are just not stupid. When I did Oprah or did other TV, did I just go like the rest of them? No. I presented all of them with a pair of toilet earrings. They going to remember you, and you're a handsome bugger, and you're a good this, but are they going to remember you? No, they're going to remember me because I was the guy that gave the toilet earrings away to do everything else. If you had somebody else, the guy drinks coffee, and then I had a toilet coffee mug. You can't believe what little 2-day-old coffee in there looks like a little cream in the bottom of that. Boy, there's a man that can drink that, and you give that coffee. So people, and I had my label on that to do that. You know what the dentist look in your mouth? You know what this is? It's a Johnny Lip light. I carry this and I go to people's houses. I look in the lip of their toilet. Who's on the defense now? They're going to kid me, the toilet cleaner? No, they're going to be apologizing for their stupid houses. So I carry my Johnny Lip light around whenever you go. But you see all those things you do that you can find to do. Did another book. Now, this is really interesting. I did a book called How to Upgrade and Motivate Your Cleaning People. when I'm speaking. And you need a long time to do this, but if you do stuff like everybody else, you just have this whole book. Sometimes you're really interested, go down and buy one, or I might even give you one as you come to the museum. Name tags, everything. When we had dinner, we had lunches. You know, everybody had lunch. It's like everybody else. No lunches. No, we got a real toilet, a new toilet. We put lemonade in it. We dipped out of the toilet when there were people come. You see the genius of that? People say, oh, this is really neat. Then we had baby potties and put bean dip in baby potties with the little, what's the little bean dip things you use like that? We had kitty litter cookies and we had all that stuff. We made little cakes, but you see, we lived our religion a clean. Then my company, one year we had a janitor rodeo. We all got together when you go to the museum, and Judy's been there, and you guys, if you want to see imagination, come down to the museum. We had janitor rodeos, fast draws with the spray bottles, bucking buffers, you know, and all sorts of things, pad tosses. We did all that stuff. But we do these projects, and we had downhill races in cars once. And all the cars had to be out of clean stuff. All of you'd have to compete, but it tells me a lot about you. You know, you said, is this guy really awake over there? Yeah, he is, but this guy's ingenious. He made this car, and all of a sudden, your degree, nothing that matters. It matters what you can do. Seminars, consulting, books. You got all that stuff. Started doing assemblies for little kids. You know what assembly is? You remember in school? I'll take a toilet cleaner coming to give you assembly. You name me one more important assembly than you can give them how to teach people how to clean. See, everybody sees clean as how to clean, right? A process. Soon you come scrub yourself, washy, right? So you see, when I say clean, you see it as a verb. I don't see clean that way. I see clean as a condition. Clean language, clean glasses, clean arteries. Clean. You put clean in front of anything, and it makes it more valuable. It's the single most important word in the world. But it's a challenge to sell. So I did books to sell. I did a book on it, and we had cleaning Olympics. We had cleaning. We painted when they had 60 Minutes on TV. We painted a barn out in Chubby Gato in 60 minutes. Painted and everything like that. So, you're in a cleaning business, you're not, right?
No.
You're really missing out because this is really a fun business. You know the garbage man's handshake?
No.
Here. Oh, Jeffries. Tough audience. You guys, you're college students, man. Even when I do it again, college man, yeah, you got it. That's the garbage man's handshake. The 3-year-olds get that at the museum. You know how sharp a 3-year-old is these days, or 4-year-olds. You guys got to wake up and get it. These kids are just right. They're going to take your position. They're educated with these things. I mean, they're ahead of me. When I was a senior in high school, there's kids that are 6, 7 new things that I didn't have a clue on, and it's this. These things are just educating you guys on the phone and everything. So it's called imagination. You know, it's an interesting thing. You think this works? Once you really think of something, you guys are picking you're picking what you're going to do. You want to be writers, right? I write for the newspaper, and I've written books, and I've done tons of television across over in Australia and England and everything else. Been all interviews, and by the way, you got a beautiful thing on there. I'm going to give you the best counselor you're going to get in college. Maybe in this class, the whole college, I'm going to give you something. People always ask me, what do they did it? They got a group of people who were 32 years old. They were married. He had his accounting degree, and they had 2 kids, good wife, good marriage. Everything was going really good. Like life, you kind of think, I'm married to somebody good. I got a couple kids. We're in a community. I got my news. I'm a news writer. So they went to these people and they said, "How are things going?" People ask you how things going and wait long enough, you'll just spill over. Well, how are things going? If somebody asks you that question right now, just wait it. How are things going? Well, you know, I'm worried about this, and my dad did this, my grade is. And they did that. 65% of those people that they asked that question were unhappy with who they were with and what they were doing. Think how significant. If you don't like who you're with, what you're doing for your life, no matter how much you're getting paid, if you don't like that, man, you got problems. You're just not going to get along in life. If you 65% didn't like their wives or husbands, vice versa that much, and a combination, but they didn't like the job they had, even how much they're making money. That was profound. As people did this study, as Times did it years ago, to me, it was the most profound thing I'd heard. I said, that is amazing, because you think this guy's really, look at he's mayor of the city, or he's just getting along, and the guy's doing really good. He was unhappy with what he is. If you don't like what you are, it's not a good thing. So, for instance, so they ask, Why? Why is it like that? You know what the answer came up with? You know the mistake we made in life? We career planned and we didn't life plan. Let me give you some real good advice. Worth this whole lecture if you want. If you don't like what you're doing, success in this world is, I did a book, How to Sweep Away the Top. Success is number one, really liking what you do, looking for it. You can't wait in the morning. And number two, feeling that what you do has value. If you don't think what you have value, if you would think you have value, you'll never be happy, because no matter what degree they had, the guy gets his master's degree in accounting, got his little family, he works up, and now he works for Ripley, Snorton, Bergstein, finally gets promotion as to Newark, New Jersey, from Idaho. And then, by the way, Newark, when you get to the end of the tunnel at New York, New Jersey is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a terrible place. Then he gets, pretty soon the man hates what he does, so what does he do? He picks on his wife, and pretty soon they're divorced or they're happy and everything else. What you like, this is the most important. Your career is, what degree you guys are getting, I'm telling you, writing career is a good career, by the way. You're doing it could be creative, it's fun, there's a good open thing on it, but you got to be good at it and you got to love it. If you don't, you got a life plan. What do you want to do with your life? You know, do you want to have children? Do you want to live on a farm? Do you want to live someplace? Do you want to live in Hawaii? Do you want to do what do you want to do the rest of your life? That is more important. That's going to be, because no matter what career, if you get a career, if you don't like what you do, you got a sad life coming forever. So start the life plan. When we finished college, Barbara and I both got our degrees, and we said we had the 6 kids, and all of a sudden you say, what? And I had the cleaning business, which was a pretty good sized business, but where do we want to live? So we did a sociogram. We took Idaho, and we said, took Idaho here, not a bad Idaho, where our family lived, where I lived on a farm, and we made a sociogram of the area we wanted to live in, for Idaho, where your family was, where your kids do. I wanted a farm thing where I could do, I wanted so my kids could have animals, I wanted to go out and sing and play my guitar without not to work. I like to work hard, I want to be physically in shape. All of you should look like this when you're 80 years old. I want to be in shape. I wanted a place for music near a college. The church was close. I wanted all that stuff. And it fell on 2 places. Haley, Idaho. You ever heard of Haley, Idaho? Why do you shake your head? Where are you from?
I have an aunt who lives in Sun Valley.
Yeah. So it fell on Haley, Idaho, of all places, which I didn't know much about. And McCammon. McCammon, that's where all the rednecks of Idaho live, down in McCammon. Where are you from, McCammon or Ingham? Salt Lake. Well, we don't hold that against you. So it fell on that, so I started driving out, and I found a place, and we bought a 60-acre place, and we raised all our kids, and we had family come in, and now our grandkids. But life was good, you know, you're happy every day, but people say, where do you get your energy? You don't get your energy from, no matter, your pay will hardly make any difference in your life, I'll tell you. I wrote here, there's 5 ways to starve to death. A musician, an artist, an actor, a writer, a janitor, and a museum owner. 4 ways if you want to starve to death. And I'm the last 4. So when I was doing TV, I carried an actor guild union card all the time. So I did a lot of TV. They finally give you an actor card. I did thousands of those things, and TV and actor, not canceled. And a writer, I've written 40 books, and I write for newspapers, and I still write a lot. Janitor, I'm still a janitor. And of course I own a World Museum, and we own something, as Judy can tell you. How many's been in through the museum in here? See, if you guys are going to be a bunch of writers, when did you go?
I went on a haunted history tour.
Well, that, you didn't really get a tour though with me, right? Okay, now here I'm giving you a real good example. I'm not putting a push in here, but we got something that's different in the whole world has not got a museum of clean. The most important thing in there is it's big. People come down there expecting this little 2,000-foot museum. They walk in this big, enormous place, 80,000 foot. We got things in there that are, some of that stuff's 2,000 years old. It's Judy, right? It's pretty impressive, isn't it? So you're a news coverage people, and you guys are in the news, and you haven't been to the Museum of Clean. It's the most important thing. Guess who's number 1 in AAA in this country? Guess in Travelodge who's number 1? A stupid janitor with a bunch of museum down. You guys should, if you're going to be writers, you got to find what the interest of the people is and what it is, and make reports. In fact, if you did a real good article, got a New York Times, you'd put you ahead of everybody. You'd have a name in on your brag sheet. You could put, I was in the New York Times, and all of a sudden they throw the rest of these guys' stuff away. Even if you can't spell time, it still works to do. So there's just there's just no end to what you can do. You got to. I give all the grade school kids a toilet eraser. Do they remember that? No matter what you're doing, I lived on a farm. Guess what one of my favorite books is? I got thinking what pigs and chickens and ducks and cows and horses taught. Anybody know anything about horses? Anybody ride horses in here? Good. Knew you were a McCammon redneck when I saw you. Right? Harris, you ride horses, and you're a ball player. Good. What do you play? Second base?
Second, third, no.
You must have a good arm on you. I like confidence. See that? There's another question I ask everybody. The people's going to ask you, what do you do? I work, and they give me this whole thing. I said, do they like you here? And the people are stunned. Two things in this world that makes knowing where you are. Nepotism is the biggest thing for business failure, but the second is people not knowing where they are. So do that. But I was around animals, and I think, what animals talk? So there's a whole book, everything learned about business in the barnyard. And there's all these barnyard stories about out behind the barns in full view. What does that mean? Out behind the barns in full view. Come on, riders. Oh, yeah.
Out there.
What happens out behind the barn?
Bad stuff.
That's where you go to smoke a cigarette or or something. It's the bad things you did on the farm. You went and hid behind the barn. Well, what do I mean? It's in full view. When you do anything wrong,
You're in the spotlight.
you are. Even if people don't see it, because you know. All of these things. Pedigree's no guarantee. What does that mean?
Doesn't matter what you've done or you're.
This guy's coming alive. Animals in heat do stupid things.
Heat of the moment, I guess.
No, you missed that. Big udders generate poor judgment. Okay, I just seen how good you are. Anybody live on a farm? Anybody like farm? Anybody live close to a farm? You'll love this book. Show some action there. Get it. Okay. Anybody like poetry in here? Aha! I love poetry. I write it do you read my articles every Sunday that come out? They're one of the best read in the journal now. One of the best read. Oh, Gadfries, I can't. You gotta wean this class off. I mean, I can't believe it. I started finding even in business, to separate myself from all the other business people, if something like the sewer backed up at this big telephone building. When I first got it, this first telephone building contract in the United States was contracted here in Pocatello, Idaho. We do now 4,000 ones across the United States. First job I got here, sewer got plugged up and everybody got a shoot. And I wrote a poem called Sewer Sadness, and it was so good it published out there. All of a sudden, I mean, so I've written over 1,000 poems. So here's a book I did never put out. You write poetry. There's a lot of ways to communicate, but poetry is really good. Mary had a little lamb. Her father shot it dead. Now that she takes that lamb to school between two hunks of bread. There's all sorts of stuff. You can come up with 100 things. I taught literature in high school, and for a year. And I started finding good literature. Kids, you gotta have depth. You just can't. You come to these classes, you and Judy can only teach you so much and expose you to so much, everything else. But you got on your own. You just gotta get depth. You gotta. Cause, I mean, I just see the waste of time of people and things they're doing, but if you're good, if you got something on the ball, make a brag sheet. What you can do, really make a difference. I know I'm a little over time. Let me tell you one little quick story about writing. When I first started writing, I'd written a few things. I hadn't published a book yet, but I went down to a big university down here. They had a writing seminar. Boy, I thought, you go to seminars to be a professional writer, because I really, like you, I really felt I loved to write. Because when you change lives through writing, there's some just magic about being a writer. So we go down to the big university. There's about 300 of us, all would-be writers, all there. As a writer, you have a very big ego, all of you do. I'm a writer. So the guy leading the seminar down there was a guy by the name of Tex Smith, and you can punch him up on the computer. His name was Tex Smith, and he was half Cherokee and half white, and he didn't have the kind of guy, no rear end, kind of a thin Indian, good-looking guy. He had 6 kids, and he was a writer. And he's kind of a sloppy guy, and you go, okay, I'm going to run this seminar, and you kind of look, because we knew he was really a big writer. So he starts lecturing to us, and pretty soon a lady in the audience says, you got to write. And he was telling us all this. One lady in the audience, she had a $300 haircut. Mr. Smith, how many articles do you do a year? First he said, who's written an article and had it published in here? And there's 300 of us, and about 20 of us put our hands up. Looked at all you other scabs that hadn't published anything. So pretty soon she says, how many's done more than one? Boy, half the hands came down. About 10 in that whole lot of 300 ever had anything really published. So this lady with this big hairdo said, Mr. Smith, how many articles did you do? How many have you done, you know? Last year. And you go, oh, 160. And there was a big gasp over this whole house. Gasp! We all went, you know. I mean, this guy is just like God was speaking to us. And I remember that lady caught her thing and says, Mr. Smith, how do you account for so much prolificity? He looked there and says, a tired butt. And of all my thing in the whole writing field I've learned, I'm giving you two things: make your career good, life plan, and learn to have a tired butt. Because if you don't, I mean, you're going to have to write all the time. You should never be in the shower. You should never be anywhere without a thing. No matter where you are, you got to have something. You write all the time. You write all the time. And I'm really a believer in revelation. You will receive personal revelation. You can be taught from on high. You wonder where thoughts come from. You'll see some of your best thoughts right in battle. Well, I think I'll sit down to typewriter, you know, and write my first bestseller. Never happened. Never happened. You just cannot do that. You write as you go along, and you see inspiration and jump out of the shower, 10 o'clock at night, 3 in the morning, you have an idea, you wake up and you write it, because you won't remember it. You'll find out then when you start going, then you'll have it. Anybody see the movie Finding Forrester?
Yeah.
Good movie, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
Watch it 2 or 3 times. That's because there's a lot of things in there you had to. See, now I've told you a couple things to do. The biggest disappointment I was seeing, you know how many people have. Who is Rhett Butler? Rhett Butler. Who is Rhett Butler? Who?
He was in Gone with the Wind.
Boy, this is right. You guys fell in second place. That's good. We got a thing down in our museum that says Rhett Butler. He was Clark Gable in Gone with the Wind. And I found out that's one of the finest movies. I watched it 15 times. Why would I watch a movie 15 times? I was in Hawaii a couple weeks ago with my wife, and I sat down for 4 hours and watched it again. And you know why I watched it again? It's that good of a movie to do it. So why do you do that? Well, remember when you were a little kid, tell me the 3 Bears, or tell me a story. You heard it one night, what do you tell them the next night? Tell me a story again, the 3 Bears. You've heard that thing 30 times. Why do you do that? When you get old, you know, if the movie is good, Finding Forrester was on last week a couple times.
It's also on Netflix.
You got a Netflix. It was on a couple times, so I bought the tape. It's so well done about writing that you'll learn a lot in movies. I'll keep a pad with you. I've got a whole file that says great comments from movies. Who said no be where punch is? Who said that? No be where punch is. Who says that'll be the day? Man, got a long way to go here. Karate Kid says, how do I keep from getting hit? And he said, no be where punch is. And that's a good thing. John Wayne said that. So anyway, my time's about up, but it takes a long time. So I can spend days with you teaching you stuff. If you come to the museum, I'll take you through a guide on here. This has got a lot of how to do stuff. It's a $20 book. Anybody like to have this? Well, you guys should turn on with. By the way, that's the other thing. If you're going to get anything in life, I'll end it with this thing. You got to learn. I can go into first grade and say, who'd like to help me clean toilets? How many volunteers do I get?
None.
In the first grade? Are you kidding me? Everyone! I get in the 5th grade. I'm going to clean toilets. Who wants to help me? It's a fun job. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to a bunch of you high school, college guys. Who wants to help me clean toilets today? Not a one. Everything else. And little kids are good. Little kids volunteer. You know, you guys are kind of on a clue right here. You're born right here. You're doing this now. Do you know where most of you are? At 18. That's called Fool's Hill. You go and you get stupider and you die. A lot of you are right there. You know why? Why is a kid? You have to cut this tree down. You got to cut this tree down over here. You go to a tree cutter. This guy's look at the muscles on the guy. This guy gets karate him down. So I say, what's your first name?
Xavier.
Xavier. How do you cut down a tree? He'll say, well, he's had a degree from Judah in tree cutting. You chop it down or saw it down. That's how adults think. Let's go to a 6-year-old kid, 4-year-old kid. I want to cut the tree down. How do I cut the tree down? Saw it down, drop it down, flood it down, buy a herd of beavers, strip it out, pull it down, flood it down, dig it down, pull it down. The kid will come up with, you guys know what kids do? And that's what kids do. They learn and they keep doing this and this, and when you get 18, we think we know everything and we quit doing this. So in your career, I'm clear down here, sad to say. And you know what's funny? We said you guys are going to learn Russian tomorrow, and Judy's going to start teaching a Russian class, and you all take it to graduate. Do I hear any moans and groans? All of you, oh no, everything, oh, you know, you can't learn it. I know a kid that's 7 years old, speaks 5 languages in San Francisco. Mother's Chinese, Korean, mother and father's Korean. They go to Spanish school in their English neighborhood, and their jive talk around. So the kid can. So how can a snot-nosed 7-year-old kid speak all the language, and you can't learn Russian? All of you. Kids. So what do kids do? They volunteer. I go to first grade. Who wants to tell me? Kids volunteer. That's how they got smart. That's how you're going to learn a lot. Learn to volunteer, and you're going to. That's your big advice. And life plan, don't career plan. Whatever you do, start saying, what do I want to do with my life? And I'll tell you, the writing life is going to be hard because there's 1,000 writers, but it's still, if you separate yourself from the other people and get really good, you'll get to go places and write. You'll get to go to Australia. You'll get studying. You'll get everything. But if you're just a word processor, we'll give it up because there's going to be. I tell you, there's good. When I speak at graduations, I always say, you know, I got a girl in my office. I'd like to take 6 of you. All have those real pretty valedictorians, and all the people graduate. You know, in the high school. I said, I got one girl that can take the place. All 5 of you. That's how good there's some people. That's how good the writers are out there. They're that good. And if you're just humble and soft about it, say, I think I'll just try a little bit. You won't cut it. You got to have imagination and creativity and a sense of humor. You guys you're not. I haven't seen too many smiles. You guys are not too sense of humor oriented, but when you come to the museum, you watch those little kids. You have a sense of humor. Those little kids, they get it. They go it. So I know I'm a little over time, but I can't think of. However you do your job, you'll carry over your into your thing. Any questions? A minute, if you got any. I'm down at the museum all the time. You ought to come down and go through it. It's worth it. You'll really learn a lot. I have quite a few students come down, and you'll see something that you don't expect.
Any questions for Mr. Aslett? Most of these students won't be writers, probably, Don. This is a required course. So is it still useful for them, even if they go to a non-writing?
Exactly. Immaterial. How many people stick on their own degrees they get when they go to school? Almost everybody gets a degree in drama or political science. Look at all these stupid degrees out there. Almost as irrelevant if you learn the study habits and learning. But you're all going to be writers, whether you think you are or not. I mean, that's something. Journalism, whether you do it for a living or not, everything you do, you learn to listen and you learn to write. Whatever job you get, you do exactly what I did on this one. You make it exciting. I was so enthused with what I did, I started carrying a toilet suitcase wherever I traveled. Just went to Europe. What does that say right there? Fragile. Why does it say fragile? Where'd fragile come from? Come on. Oh, come on.
Italy?
Fragile, where did you hear that? It's Christmas time. What's on TV? Don't shoot your eye out with a BB gun, right?
Christmas Story.
Christmas Story, right? So where'd Fragile come? Remember he's undoing the leg?
It's got a lamp leg.
The lamp leg, very good, Haley, that's good. And says, well, Fragile, it must be from France. But I could keep you here for hours and tell you where this suitcase went with me, and people pick me up in the airport. Waldorf Astoria, man, they say it's a check-in, you walk into Waldorf Astoria in New York with a toilet suitcase, they get you out there in 2 minutes. But you got to have a sense of humor. I wore 2 of these things out because I'm so proud to be a cleaner, and it's so much fun to be a cleaner. So when you come down to the museum, it's just like your career playing ball. If you've been a good athlete, they've almost ruined athletics, but I played all the ball and was going to play professional baseball. I love. The sports are good. They build character in you and everything else. If you don't let them run your life, you can do it. You just want to be a toilet cleaner, don't you? Yep. Any questions? If you come down, I'll be glad to meet with you, give you everything. You might even get a free book out of it. I've written a book on speech. By the way, if you go speak professionally, and you get good bucks. You do it. Not much before, but a few months ago I went to Boston, got $3,000 to speak for 45 minutes. But I have to have something to speak about. So that's what you're here in college to learn. Not just go to class, but go beyond it, work beyond it, right? You're going to write some poems and bring them down and show me, right? That's going to get you a job and get you a straight A someplace else. You're going to give me a resume, or you're going to give me a brag sheet. You bring me one too to the museum. Interesting. I'm looking for somebody now that can do graphic design, can type, and, you know, personally, because I got 40 books out, I got 12 more almost through. I need art for, need everything else. So I sit out there as all of you come through, and I watched every one of you, and I watched who's early, and I've been watching in this classroom. That's how you hire people. So you find people that look like they got a pulse, you think, you just got to get out of the college thinking that I got a degree, I'm smart and everything. Her job's only to expose you to things. You got to take it. She's got about a 5% job. The rest of it, she gives you the 95% if you make it or not.